Europe owes its present-day look to the ideas of this man. His doctrine defined not only a new church, but also a new morality. The beginning of the 16th century can be called the epoch of Martin Luther. He was the founder of Protestantism and the father of the Reformation. Martin Luther was born in 1483 in a small German town of Eisleben. The young man had rugged features of a common man and incorrigible obstinacy, both features inherited from his father, who was a rich peasant. His parents wished their son to become a lawyer. They willingly spent a good amount of money to buy him textbooks. As a student of the law department at Erfurt University, Martin mastered the art of delivering long and serious speeches, which earned him the nickname philosopher. As was the practice among the students those days, the future lawyer earned his means of subsistence by singing and playing the lute in the streets where he was a considerable success. The talent of the boy caught the attention of Ursula Kott, a patrician who employed Martin as the tutor of her children. In this rich house, the youth met the preachers whose independent views and thoughts impressed him immensely. On the 2nd of July, 1505, Luther was caught in a heavy thunderstorm in the field. Frightened by the violence of nature, Martin, who was 22 then, exclaimed, "Help, Saint Anna, I will become a monk." To keep his vow, he sold his books and entered an Augustinian monastery, which was known for observing strict and severe regulations. Martin Luther wrote later, "I become God's servant not of my own free will, but strengthened by the terror I went through." The former lawyer learned the Bible profoundly. After becoming a doctor of theology, Martin Luther delivered lectures at the University of Wittenberg. In 1510, he visited Rome, where he witnessed the opulence and depravity of the upper clergy at close quarters. Being an ardent Catholic, it hurt his sentiments. And his especial indignation was aroused by the fact that any person could buy an indulgence and be granted absolution of the most terrible sins for money this way. His protest against selling indulgences, Luther formulated in 94 theses. On the 31st of October, 1517, he stuck them on the door of the church in Wittenberg. Luther's thesis drew fierce polemics in all parts of Germany. Supporters of Luther turned from criticism of indulgences to censuring Catholic dogmata as such. Then Pope Leo X issued a bull in which he warned the freethinker against excommunication. On December 10, 1520, Martin Luther burned Pope's epistle in public in front of the city gates of Wittenberg. Pope did not think twice. He excommunicated 37-year-old Luther. Martin Luther found shelter in the castle of a Saxon prince to escape Inquisition. He started developing his own doctrine that later on was called Protestantism. Luther came to the conclusion that the only way to attain salvation is through faith. This became the main postulate of Martin Luther's reformative doctrine. As opposed to Catholicism, which insisted on formal rituals as show of devotion, Protestantism was directed to the heart of each believer. Luther asserted that relations between God and man were of private nature and didn't require interference of the Church, that should only help people perceive the Bible. Martin Luther, one of the most well-educated theologians of his time, translated the text of the Bible into German so that anyone could appeal to God through the text of the Bible. It favored not only the development of the literary German language, but also an education of the society. The Bible printed in the native language was gradually becoming cheaper, more affordable, and could appear in any house. Luther only wanted to reform the Church, but his ideas found their own life and inflamed the whole Western Christianity world. Every German, be it a prince or a peasant, saw in the Reformation the chance of changing life for the better. In 1524, a peasant uprising broke out in Germany. Luther was against people's revolt, and as a typical German bourgeois, he declared for reprisal against the rebels and for restoring the order. The revolt was quelled in 2 years, but by that time, the things had changed a lot in Germany. The Lutheran Church was gaining more and more popularity, the ideas being clearer, open, with no icons and intricate ceremonies. Catholic monasteries in many towns in Germany closed down. Public Mass in German was being introduced. Priests became spiritual guides of the believers. They could enter into matrimony. At the age of 40, Luther himself married Katharina von Bode, the daughter of an impoverished nobleman. They had 5 children. Luther continued delivering lectures to students and preaching his doctrine, and only his poor health made him leave Wittenberg for his native Eisleben. The father of the Reformation died in 1545. Martin Luther's fate was a striking example of how to realize the idea of Reformation. A man from a peasant family became an ideological leader and shaped the destiny of Europe.